So vertical angles are angles that form an X, and they're the ones opposite each other on that X. And the conclusion you can always make is that vertical angles are congruent. My definition for adjacent angles are angles that share a side. Okay? So this guy here and this guy here are adjacent. They share a side. If we didn't have an office, Miss Brown's room and my room are adjacent. Your bedroom might be adjacent to a bathroom. It shares a wall with a bathroom or another bedroom, right? Or maybe even the living room, depending on how your house is set up. So whatever wall you share, that's an adjacent room. That's what adjacent means, okay? So those two angles share a wall. Are they congruent? Yes or no?
Yeah. Are congruent?
Yeah. Are they equal?
Yeah. No.
Not necessarily.
They could be, but
They are, yeah, they could be. Not necessarily congruent, okay? They could be. So the definition on this paper says that measurement of angle CBD plus measurement of angle DBE equals 90. These angles are complementary. My definition, two angles that add up to 90, okay? They're not necessarily 45 and 45. They could be a 30 and a 60, okay? They can be any two numbers that add up to 90. Yeah. Some ways you're going to see complementary angles is you're going to see a picture like this, and it's going to have all kinds of stuff going on in it. Pretend I can draw. And you're going to see a little square box here. So when you see that square box, you know that that big angle adds up to 90. So these two guys have to add up to 90. But we don't know that they're equal unless they tell me that that middle line is an angle bisector. If that's an angle bisector, then you know the two are 45. You understand? So you can't say something about your picture without being told that you can say it. But sometimes they tell you things in a very roundabout way, and you have to kind of figure it out, what your conclusion is. Okay? Supplementary.
isn't it if they equal 180?
Yes. Two angles that add up to 180. And that can be anywhere. Now in the example they talk about a linear pair. So let's talk about a linear pair. A linear pair is like this, a straight angle, and then there's a point somewhere in the middle of the line and another angle comes out of it. You know that straight angle, you know, if you guys are doing skateboarding or whatever and you turn 180 degrees, you go back in the opposite direction, right? So a straight angle, it measures 180. So if you have angles on that line, they have to add up to 180. Got it? They're not necessarily congruent unless they tell you that, but they have to add up to 180. A linear pair are two angles that come out of the same vertex. So this would be like a trick question. These two are linear pairs because they come out of that same vertex. These two are linear pairs, but they're not linear pairs with each other. You understand that? Each one of those pairs add up to 180. So don't look at other angles that come out of the same line and think they have any relationship to each other till we get to next chapter, then you're going to learn some more relationships. If those two lines are perpendicular, we know that they form four right angles because everywhere they hit at a 90. And also if they added to this picture and added some lines in here, we know that all these three angles add up to 90. That's the conclusions you can make off a perpendicular. So whenever they say the word perpendicular, you're looking for a 90-degree angle and seeing what you can add together to make up 90. Whenever they say linear pair, you're looking for 180 degrees. Whenever you're looking at vertical, you're looking for two equal angles. So if they give you the measurement in x's, you just make them equal to each other. In geometry, you're going to have three major things that come up. You either make them equal to each other, make them equal to 90, and make them equal to 180. Those are the three main ones that happen. So when you're trying to break into the problem, you're going to think, what can I say? What can I conclude? What information did they give me so that I can conclude that stuff? And you have to be careful. Don't over-conclude, or don't say, oh, those two look alike, so they must be equal. You have to have clear information, okay? When you're naming angles, you need 3 or 1 letters. My advice to you is to use 3 unless you're really good at figuring out when you can use 1. When you find one that you think you can use 1, come and ask me. Because remember, if it's a complicated vertex and might have different angles coming off of it, you don't want to confuse me because it's wrong actually, okay? So use 3 if in doubt, then you won't be wrong. Who goes in the middle when you're naming angles?
Elbow.
The elbow, the vertex, goes in the middle. You have to put the letters in the right order, okay? Because if I don't use this in the middle, I'm talking about this angle here or this angle here, which is a totally different angle, all right? What are the key words here that we need to look at?
More than.
24 more to than, okay, let's look at that. And there's another one. Another important word. Find the measures of an angle and its complement if one angle measures 24 more than the other. What's the other word we need to look at that's on our complement? They're complementary. They're called complements of each other. Okay? So a complement, what do we know about complementary angles? Huh? They add up to 90. So we know that we have an angle and its complement, and we know that they add up to 90. So how are we going to set up an equation? These are all words, and it's very confusing for kids.
24 plus x equals 9.
Almost. Almost. What is the first angle going to be? The little angle.
24. Or
X. Because we don't know either one of them. We just know that this guy is X, and the other guy is X plus 24. Look at that for a second and ask a question if you have. What do we know about X and X plus 24? They add up to what?
90.
So we just write it down. X plus 24 equals 90. 2x equals 68. X equals 34. So when you subtract 24 from 90, you get 66, which x equals 33. So 33 degrees. And what is its complement? 33 plus 24,
20.
57. And those two are complements of each other. Supplementary angles can be like a linear pair. Okay? So in this case, the measure of the supplement is 36 less than the other angle. So if the other angle is x, he's the big guy, right? Because the supplement is 36 less. So how would you write that on this left side? What would that angle measure?
X minus 36.
Very good. And what do you know about the two angles?
Equal 180.
Very good. So we have x minus 36 plus x equals 180. So we get 2x equals,
Isn't it 2x minus, or,
216, I think? Somebody check that on me.
if you add 20, that's 280.
Very good. So we divide by 2, and that's 108 is what x is. Remember, x is the big guy. So what is 108 minus 36? That is 72. Now, what does 108 and 72 add up to? 180, so it checks out okay. So in this case, we find that they say that PTR is a right angle. That means it measures 90. So both of those added together measure 90. And you get 4y minus 10 equals 90. 4y equals 100. Y equals 25, correct?
Yep.
So now I'm going to plug in that 25 and make sure it makes sense. If y equals 25, that's just a plain 25. And if y equals 25 over here, it's going to be 65. What is 65 plus 25? 90. So it checks out okay. So the question is, name an angle not adjacent to, but complementary to FGC. When they tell me FGC, I know that that's this angle right here. So we know, how much does FGC measure?
40.
40. Why is it 40?
Because it's part of a right angle.
Because these two add up to 90, right? And the other one's 50. Well, what would be adjacent to that that would add up to 90?
GHF.
HGF.
Okay, yeah.
HGF, put the elbow in the middle, right? But it says they want something that's not adjacent to it. So what other angle would add up to 90 but is not right next to it?
FED.
FED is a name, GED. Yeah, you see it?
Or GED, yeah.
Yeah, this angle right here is also 50, so it's complementary, it's just not adjacent to it. So it's like when you're a lawyer, you have to read all the fine print, which is why I'm not a lawyer, because I'm not very detailed. So you have to read all that fine print. You have to read everything they're telling you. If you had found this angle here, yes, that's complementary, but it's adjacent, so it doesn't meet all the requirements. You understand?
Yeah.
That's why I gave you that one.